Hi and welcome back. My name is Lisa, and in this video I am going to share with you areas to avoid if you're planning on moving to Richmond, Virginia. So let's get started. First place I want to talk about is Stratford Hills. So they don't call it Stratford Hills for nothing. Stratford Hills is very kind of like hilly area. It's kind of away from all your major shopping centers and shopping areas. So if that's something that you need to be close to, it's definitely not the area for you. However, if you like to run, to jog, to be close to the river, then Stratford Hills definitely may be considered because it's close to pony pasture. It's close to the river. It's a nice area to walk. It's just kind of further out from, you have to drive a little bit further out to kind of, get to the main shopping centers. And so with that said, but it's still considered in Richmond City, so the property taxes are going to be higher. Houses in this area are a little bit older, and so they are going to be built like in the 60s. They're in the mid 400 range, and property taxes again are going to be a little bit higher because it's still considered a city. So if you're looking for something that again is more accessible to the bigger shopping areas, not necessarily going to be the area for you. There's also a train that kind of runs by Stratford Hills, so you want to keep that in mind depending on which part of Stratford Hills the home is. That the train station or the train is, the noise of the train is going to affect that, and so you kind of have to keep that in mind and be ready for that. If you like hearing the train in the middle of the night, hey, more power to you. However, that may not necessarily be for you. So the next area that I'm going to share is Tuckahoe. So the biggest issue with Tuckahoe here is it's going to be congested. You're going to have to use 64 as your main way to get in and out of Tuckahoe, even though you kind of, could use 295. However, most likely you're going to have to end up, crossing the city to get there. And so the biggest issue here is going to be congestion. In this area, the houses are in the 350 range, and they're built, in the 60s and 70s, and a little bit, not as much older, but a little bit more current. However, in Richmond, like the typical house is a colonial style house, and 2 floors. It's kind of difficult to find a rancher, especially in this area. And so if you're looking for like a 1-story home, this is not the area for you. A lot of homes in this area, like I said, the typical Richmond home does not have like a garage. It's just kind of like a 2-story colonial style home, and a little porch maybe on the side. So kind of have to be okay with that. In this area, the property taxes are going to be a little bit lower because it's in the county versus the city. But the increase in property value is going to be kind of like average in this area as well. The third place I want to share with you is the area of Chester. Now, Chester is kind of like up and coming. Not too bad, but Chester is kind of like further out. It's still considered the Richmond, Virginia area. Good place if you want to be in the Richmond, Virginia area, but you're looking more affordable housing and you don't mind driving, 30-40 minutes, especially if you're trying to go to West End. You're gonna have to take that drive, so it's kind of like further out. Obviously, it has pretty much everything that you would need. The houses in this area will range in the 250s. Like I said, they're definitely more affordable. The property taxes are lower than Richmond City, and we'll talk about Richmond soon. But they're a little bit higher than Henrico County. So keeping that in mind, you're actually gonna pay for that. And gas prices are a little bit not a little bit, but very high right now. So Chester may not be the area for you if your job or or where you need to be most days is closer to the city. It's going to be much further out. Now, we're going to talk about the city of Richmond. So the city of Richmond, it's nice area because it has a lot to give to, as far as like we talked about, it's eclectic style and, nice arts district. And, I like going to the city on occasion. However, the biggest issue here is going to be, the drive time. As crazy as that sound, you're going to spend a lot of time driving trying to find a parking space. I know it sounds kind of crazy because the first place I think about when I can't find a parking space is New York City. Well, Richmond City is not necessarily built the greatest to find a parking spot either. You have to kind of drive around, and there's a lot of construction there. There's always construction in Richmond City, and so the houses there, because it's Richmond City. I mean, if you like historic, it has like historic spots, and so the houses range from like the 1800s to the 1950s. So it's nice architectural historic homes. But because it's in the city, you're definitely going to pay for that city vibe. The walkability, now going back to like the driving, there's areas to walk. You can walk around in Richmond City, but it is kind of spread out too. So in some areas you could walk, some areas is not so great to walk. So that's going to kind of be an issue. And then back to the houses, they will range from like 200,000 in some parts of Richmond City, and then you have other parts of Richmond City where it's $500,000 plus. So depending on which area in Richmond City, you may be paying for a house $500,000 plus that really just needs to be fixed, gutted, and may have some restrictions because again, you may be in the more historical part of Richmond, and that has more restrictions. So you want to keep that in mind, that Richmond City, these taxes are going to be a lot higher. Being Richmond City has high taxes, and so you kind of don't want that. But if you like older homes, historic, and you don't mind, having that city vibe and paying that money, then they may be for you. But just keep that in mind. The city of Richmond has those issues. So here are the areas to avoid, and I hope this video was informational for you. And that it was of value. And don't forget to like and share and hit that notification button for more videos like this if you like what you saw, so that you will be notified every time we put a video out about Richmond, Virginia. Bye.